Hello. I think we are live. Brilliant. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we are today going to be going live with Leo Bonomo. He is online, so we're just waiting for him to come through. And what I'm going to do in the meantime is start adding him to send out an invite. That should go through. And then it's just for Leo to join up. Now, we did have Leo on briefly a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if anybody can
There
recall.
we go. Fantastic.
And there he is, the man of the moment. Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thanks indeed. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Glad to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. It's wonderful.
Oh, only but a pleasure. Thank you for being here. We really do appreciate it. I was just saying, of course, that we had you on very briefly as sort of a teaser for today, which is really exciting. But I think we can maybe do a little bit of a recap. So for a lot of the people who are watching these, they obviously would have seen you on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference that we have quite often. And again, we thank you for that. As always, link in bio, everybody, link in bio, so go through. But Leo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get onto this journey?
I feel very, very privileged. I first saw, I don't like the word ghost, but I first saw my first ghost when I was 2. And it seemed very, very natural to me, even though the circumstances were quite odd. And that was, I was between my parents and we were walking alongside the cemetery wall, and through the pavement, so outside of the wall, I saw a mist, and then I gradually saw someone rise up and upend. Didn't think that was weird, which may surprise a lot of people. And then as I was looking at him, my dad asked me what was wrong, and I said, there's a funny guy behind us. And we all looked, couldn't see him, and then I looked myself and saw him again. And basically the only thing that was strange about that encounter was the clothes, because he had a top hat and Victorian dress. So the fact that he rose out of the pavement didn't faze me at all. And to that extent, I've had an absolutely brilliant, stunning childhood with physical mediumship, that is spirit physically materializing in all kinds of ways. It was great. I also used to astral project at will, so come out of my body, and had near-death experiences and things like that. And then I began training at the Spiritual Association of Great Britain, and that was in the mid-80s. So lots and lots of experience.
Yes, tell us about that, because I'll be perfectly honest, that's quite a surprise to me. I didn't know that there was an association where you could actually go and train.
There are several in the country. One is at the Arthur Findlay College in Stansted. So that's one. There is a Psychic College in London, but the SAGB is the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain. Now, they've all been going roughly, I think, about 120 years now. And it's fascinating that you ask, because I asked Spirit. Spirit kept pushing me to formally train and to begin readings. And like a lot of people, I understood the message, but I wanted confirmation. So I asked them for absolute firm confirmation. And what transpired was I had a dream. I had a dream about a gentleman called Robert Brown. Now, I'd never heard of Robert Brown. And in this dream, he said to me that you need to go to the SAGB. You need to look for a trainer, a tutor called Jerry March. Jerry's a lady, and you need to begin training. So I'd never heard of him, never heard of Jerry or the SAGB, looked it up, found out the SAGB did exist, found out there was a tutor there called Jerry March. and began training. Now, the strange thing is I couldn't get in with Jerry at that time, but I could get in with Robert Brown, who was it was 10-week blocks and they just go forever. And he was only there for 4 weeks. So we lost contact. He was eventually found a few years later in Germany for whatever reason. But Robert Brown is one of the greatest mediums I've seen. I've seen many, and there are some fantastic mediums. But the thing that struck me about Robert Brown was I was watching him do a demonstration at the SAGB, and I realised to my left there was a skeptic, and Robert realised this as well. And he went to him, he explained that he was a skeptic, and the guy confirmed. And he said to him, "I suppose you need extra evidence then?" So the guy said, "Yes." And this was in the days before data protection. So he said, "I'll give you your bank account number," which he did. And the guy went white. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
That is incredible.
Absolutely. The guy was sitting there writing it down, you know, and then took his card out and checked it, and his jaw just dropped. So there are some wonderful, genuine mediums out there. And I'm very privileged to know quite a few as well.
No, for sure. If I may ask then, and this is more to satisfy my personal curiosity more than anything else, what does training actually involve?
It's a special type of meditation. I've been training for approximately 25 years, training others. Sorry, I've been a teacher for about 25 years. And what it is a special type of meditation. So we learn how to control the chakras. And in mediumship, we talk about opening and closing the chakras. So if you know anything about the chakras, or you can look them up, it's spelled CHAKRA, the chakra or chakra. And if you look them up, they're often depicted as flowers, that kind of thing. I tend to see them as lights. But we talk in terms of them opening and closing. Now, in reality, they can never close. We would have left the body. But what we're talking about in opening them is sensitizing them. And when we close, we desensitize them. And one of the ways that you can tell if you're connected as a medium is when you open, colours are much brighter. There's a difference in the vision because you're seeing things with clairvoyant vision or an altered state of vision. And it's the manipulation of those through special kinds of meditation. And once we are open and protected, protection's very, very important. We then link into each other in class and pick up information, and that gradually becomes harder and harder, because if you've sat with someone for a number of years, and we never stop learning, that you need more and more and more unique information. You know, and I've always campaigned for decades now about proper evidential mediumship and proper connections, and I've got several bugbears. One of them is mediums asking questions, and they often do that, and I train my students not to do that, because if you do have a question, ask the person in spirit, because they know. You know, but so many mediums fall into the trap of, you know, why am I getting this, or why am I getting that? It's much easier to ask the person and then say in the reading, I'm being given, or I see, or I'm told that this is whatever it might be, and then say, right, I'm being given that because, you know, it's so different to why am I seeing a rundown living room to I'm being shown a rundown living room. This was at this house and that place and that time, and that's connected to you. Would you understand? There's a whole world of difference. So mediums asking questions is one of my bugbears. But part of it depends also on how you are as a person and how your mind works, because you can infinitely fine-tune the information that you're given. And for example, there's a gentleman called the Psychic Postman. Now, he obviously, as a postman, he works with names and addresses. So because his mind works like that, he's more liable to get names and addresses to give us evidence. But those are things that we can choose. I personally don't give names because they can be linked names, not the person who's come through. So if a male comes through and he gives the name of Sheila, then you know that's not his name. So that to distinguish. I tend to give names if they're very rare. And I was doing a demonstration in church one time, and I was speaking to an Indian lady, and I've said, I've got this name, I can't pronounce it, but I gave her what I was hearing. She understood immediately. Now, those kind of names I prefer to give, but so it's rare for me to give names. But it's always got to be evidential. They've always got to understand what you've given.
For sure. And how long is training in total at the SAGB?
Really, it's a lifelong thing. I'm 63 now, so I've been connected to Spirit for 61 years. I learn something every day. And I'm just blown away. And mostly what I learn is I don't really know anything in comparison. So, you know, lots like the college at Stansted, they'll do a 10-week course and they'll issue you a certificate. Well, to be honest, paper doesn't mean anything. You know, you can go and print them. You know, so it's not really a question of, well, if I study for 4 or 5 years, will that be enough? It's up to us. We can reach a level and perhaps personally be happy with that. But I don't think any of us should do that, because when we do that, we already create a ceiling. We create a blockage and we create a limit. And really, there are no limits to this at all.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's so interesting you should say that, because you used a line that I'm kind of familiar with myself in my own training, in my own manuals, which is the difference between a scientist and a magus is that a scientist thinks they understand the basics of reality, where a magus looks around and understands that they know absolutely nothing at all and never did. And it's such a different way to look at the world, because then you realize you really do never stop learning. There's always something else around the corner that you can sink your teeth into.
Absolutely. And the paranormal is such a wide subject. You know, no pun intended, but you could spend several lifetimes, the whole of those lifetimes, looking at reincarnation. And while we're here, we get, it's like an iceberg. We may get the tip, but you know, 9/10 of it is hidden. And so you've got so many. You know, you've got physical mediumship. You've got mental mediumship, which is mainly what I do. There are several types of physical. You've got transfiguration. You've got physical when spirit do appear. And if you can get to see a genuine physical medium, that in itself is life-changing. Spirit will appear, they will walk around. You can't touch them, you can't reach out, because the ectoplasm gets disturbed and it can be fatal to the medium. Mediums have died through that kind of contact. But if the spirit says to you, can I touch you? That's a different thing. And you can hold hands. They're warm, they're solid. So there's physical mediumship, there's remote viewing, there's being psychic. And I've found out that quite a few psychics and mediums that have been around a long time don't physically know the difference between a psychic and a medium. Now, it's rather complicated, because the same information can be given. But if you work as a psychic, you're working on people's energy. So it's the energy within them, around them, that kind of thing. But if you're working as a medium, that information comes directly from spirit. It's a completely different source.
Now, again, also, I guess to satiate my own curiosity, because you've hit something at the end there as well about the difference between a psychic and a medium. And a couple of people have asked me, you know, how do I get my information, basically? And I always say, no, I see it more as there's information all around us in the collective unconscious, and I'm just able to sense more or less what that means. But that's in no way, shape, or form anywhere close to what a medium would do, what you would do.
Yeah.
But that then brings me to my next question, which is, with everything that has happened over the course of 2020, and I've gotten, interestingly, mostly aligned, I won't say predictions, but mostly aligned thoughts and sensations from different people about what we're going into in 2021. But I'd love to hear from you. What is your kind of take for humanity as a whole? Where do you see us heading?
What I've been given directly from Spirit is that we're going to continue, but it's going to be a slightly degrading path. It's going to filter off. But around April, May, then things are going to clear up. Probably not forever, but to a great deal. We are learning biologically to deal with any infections that we have all the time, but certainly with COVID itself, it has. In trying to stop it, the governments around the world have done a huge. They've caused a huge economic problem, so that's going to take time to recover. But it will get better. COVID will get better. The world's actually changing an awful lot, and skeptics, they like to twist things around, and it goes from actually the Mayan society, but the Mayans were fantastic in this kind of study and exploration. And what they wrote was that there would be a huge change in 2012. And to make fun of us, what the skeptics turned that story into was that the world was going to end in 2012, which obviously is ridiculous.
Yes.
But what it was referring to was the end of this world as we knew it. So it was a spiritual advancement. And running up to that day, there was a huge vibrational change. It increased greatly. It's a huge step. And that's something that's going to continue. Whilst we're here in this place, what we call Earth, we can only reach a limit again. But it's gearing towards that limit of vibration. And what that's doing is that's opening so many people up. And that's the change that was being referred to. So it was a much more spiritual awakening. And I was working in a friend's shop doing readings, and this happened a few times, but this is a typical story. An Irish guy came in, and he said to me, "Look, I really don't believe in all this crap. Absolutely don't believe it. But I'm hearing people, I'm seeing people. What the hell is going on?" So it's funny when you think, that he was very skeptical, and all of a sudden he's seeing stuff. So it tore his world apart in one sense. But when I explained to him what I've said to you, it made sense. And I had several people approach me like that. I really don't, but something's changed. And some of them were quite worried that, as one of them said to me, a fuse has gone in the head, and one of the other things that confuses perhaps psychics and the crystal ball and all that, everything is known in spirit. There is no time. So consequently, everything is known. Now, when you go for a reading and a communicator turns up, whether they have been told that they can say to you, look, give it a couple of years, or, you know, next week things are going to change, whether they're told that and whether they're allowed to tell you, two completely different things. But predictions do come through.
No, for sure. That's, I mean, that is definitive. I see that all the time. But I'm so glad that you actually brought that up about whether or not they're allowed to tell you is a different matter entirely.
Yeah. The basis for that, as I'm sure you know, is spirit are not allowed to take away your free will. So if you've made a decision that's going to have consequences in a couple of weeks, they can't say, oh, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We have to go through it. But sometimes if it's far enough away, they will say, this is a situation and that's what's ahead. Now, that doesn't mean you take that blindly. And I often say this to people in readings. If myself or 99 other mediums tell you, down to the road, turn right. If you want to turn left, you turn left. Because that's another problem, that people build their lives around psychics and mediums, and
absolutely,
and if you're inclined that way, then you're taking away their freedom, you know, because we're all here ultimately to have experiences.
And that is a dark side of, I think, our practice that a lot of people don't like to talk about, where it can almost become a crutch for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Where they're wanting to be told what to do. And I always say, no. I'm not the sage on the stage. I'm just the guide on the side. I can tell you more or less what the potential outcome will be.
Yeah.
But it's still up to you to make the decision and make your choice. Because as we say in my school, Jodo submits to the will of karma, which is basically the will of heaven must submit to free will. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't understand that 95% of what we do, we have free will. And the other small percentage is we have come here to learn certain things. And my guide talked to me from the point of view of those being stepping stones. So we can't avoid those. Whether we take a direct route or the scenic route to that point is all free will, but we have to go through them. And quite often people will speak about, you know, I've been in, you know, half a dozen abusive relationships, for example. And what people don't understand is when you've got to that point, if you deal with it, that's the lesson. That's what you've come to learn. It goes away. It's done.
Yes.
If you keep bailing out, then you'll get that in the next relationship and the next, and you go round and round and round until you get it. You know, and so sometimes do feel, and I can see where that term comes from, of it's your fate, which is a term I really hate. You know, because to me that means you're on a railway track, you can't get off. You know, you've no choice, and that's not true at all. Yeah, you know, we learn that lesson, it goes away. But I can understand why people say, I'm stuck in this, you know, this is my fate, I go round and round. No, it's not. You're just not understanding, you know, what happens.
There's a lot of room for maneuver, and people don't realize that. You know, I have one client who is studying astrology and insists on, you know, checking everything in the stars and then going, oh, well, you see, that this is the reason why. And I go, no, hang on. It's just a road sign to tell you that there's this influence so that you can take control and take action as a result. You don't have to just bow down and go, well, okay, you know, Jupiter's doing X, Y, Z, therefore. No, it's a road sign so that you can say, I have the free will to change that. And I think people don't like that, it seems, actually. We don't like to take responsibility.
No, we don't. My guide said to me several years ago, and guides can be funny. I never remember readings unless there's something for me to learn or for my students. So certain things stick out for that reason. And we were talking one day, and he said to me, you know, you have the choice to duck. So you don't have to get hit in the face. But people just go, well, it was going to happen anyway. And, you know, and you think, no, okay, if you want to stand there and get hit, you know, that's up to you. But
For sure. Well, Leo, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Before I let you go, though, just a reminder to everybody who is catching the replay, or I suppose I don't need to remind Priscilla, because she's one of the co-founders of the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. And Priscilla, it's been lovely to have you watching us today as well. Thank you for joining. For those who are catching the replay, the link in my bio will take you through to the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, where you can catch some of the wonderful talks that Leo has done, and even some of the live talks as well. So we're super appreciative for all of that. But before I let you go, please do tell us, how do people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me on www.leo-bonomo. So it's leo-bonomo.com. Then get in touch with me there. Is it okay to mention my radio show?
Yes, of course, please do.
And it'd be nice to have you as a guest as well. It's kcorradio.com, and the program's The Voice of Spirit. So if anyone, it's on a Thursday night. English time, it's 7 till 9, but it's actually based in Las Vegas, which is 11 till 1. But
right. Okay. Brilliant. Well, I'd be more than honored to be a guest on there. Please do let me know. And what I will do, everybody catching this, the links that Leo has just spoken about will be in the description as well. And I will link through to Leo's Instagram page too. So you can go straight through there as well.
But Leo, thank you. It's been such a privilege. It's really my honor. Bless you.
No, thank you. And we will definitely speak to you very soon.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You take care. God bless.
Cheers then.
Thank you.
Bye.